Welcome back to The Frenzy, where I play the world's most dangerous game of NFL Pick'em. And this is my favorite weekend of all, and that's the Super Bowl, of course. But now we have the Jets vs. Colts for the AFC title, and the Vikings vs. Saints for the NFC title. I mean, there are 4 teams trying to vie for 2 spots. But there are 4 different storylines that could play out for Super Bowl. Aside from giving you the picks this week, let's take a look at all the 4 different possibilities that could arrive, regardless of what happens on the field.
The Colts versus the Saints. The unperfect storm. Had they both stayed undefeated to this point, maybe this Super Bowl matchup would be the greatest matchup in NFL history. But it's going to be everybody's matchup to root for. For starters, if they meet in the Super Bowl, this would be the first time the top seeds from both conferences have met up since the Cowboys-Bills matchup of '93. Besides, who wouldn't want to see Peyton Manning and Drew Brees, the top 2 quarterbacks this season, battle it out for all-out supremacy? The Jets versus the Saints. The lovable Losers Bowl. Let's be honest. When you think about traditional football powerhouses in the NFL, you don't think about the team that used to pay rent to the Giants and the Saints. Neither team have won their respective conference championships, but they both have their positives. For the Saints, they have the biggest and possibly most loyal fan base in the NFL. Maybe the Jets' big claim to fame was the guarantee in Super Bowl III against the Colts. But can these Jets underdogs, led by Mark Sanchez and the league's best defense, guarantee another big win over the Colts and possibly then the Saints? The Colts versus the Vikings. The early Hall of Fame game. Brett Favre has been on a warpath to get a team back to the Super Bowl, and with the Vikings, he might actually have the best opportunity of doing it. If the Colts and the Vikings do match up, we could be looking at one of the best quarterback battles of the NFL. Peyton Manning and Brett Favre could light up the scoreboard in this Super Bowl battle for a second ring. The Jets versus Vikings. The Favre Bowl. The chicken or the egg? Paper or plastic? Boxers or briefs? Here's a question. Are you better with or without Brett Favre? The Jets are 1 year removed from Brett Favre and managed to do some good with rookie Mark Sanchez. But what would happen if Brett faces a team he's played before? Sure, he swept the Packers this season, but how will he do against the top defense in the land? 4 different possibilities. Only 2 teams can go to Miami. But who will it be? Well, looking at the Colts-Jets matchup, this should be interesting. Remember, the Jets beat the Colts in the second half in Week 16 to get the win and break the undefeated streak. But had Peyton stayed in the game, maybe we would have had a different story by now. But I clearly see Peyton Manning not allowing the Jets to get the best of him and seeing the Colts into the Super Bowl win a win. The Vikings managed to not just beat the Cowboys, but they countered with their
pants on the ground, pants on the ground, pants on the ground, pants on the ground.
The Saints-Vikings matchup should be the most interesting matchup of the weekend. With matchups like Reggie Bush versus AP or Brees versus Favre, it's more of a toss-up. But here's a bit of a history lesson. Brett Favre won his first Super Bowl in the Superdome, and while it might be too noisy for him, Brett Favre has all the experience to lead the Vikings to a big win over the Saints.
Well, it looks like I'm going to take the Colts and the Vikings for the Super Bowl. In 2 weeks' time, we'll see if my picks were right, and we'll see my final pick on the season finale of the Franchise Football Frenzy Super Bowl Party 2010 celebration. It's going to be big. But if you have any free time, just subscribe to my video channel at YouTube to get to jump on next week's episode as well as many other videos. Thank you for watching my videos. And remember, my picks are so good, you can take them to the bank. But I wouldn't advise it.